So this is bad.
We took the freedom of speech away.
The Trump administration is trying their best to have a censored society, something they claim to hate.
I want you to think for a minute about the decades of abuse that has been heaped upon the good people of this nation. Takes away the right to free speech, the right to political expression. To all of the domestic terrorists in this country spreading this evil hate, the power of law enforcement under President Trump's leadership will be used to find you, will be used to take away your money, take away your power, and if you've broken the law, to take away your freedom.
We can all agree this is a porous example to set. Seeing how the Trump admin is dismantling free speech laws at a rapid pace.
New in Donald Trump's crackdown on freedom of speech, today making an explicit threat against comedian Jimmy Kimmel, asking when Disney would fire him and that it, quote, better be soon. Critics believe that Trump is using the levers of government to punish Kimmel. Now, this latest Kimmel conflict, part of Trump's broad attempts to crack down on freedom of expression in this country, as The Atlantic reports, quote, in marshaling regulatory power against ABC and Disney, FCC Chair Carr has given the White House another way to extend control over the media. All of this as a new global report shows that press freedom in the United States is declining. The annual World Press Freedom Index from the organization Reporters Without Borders is now ranking the United States at 64, sliding down 7 spots. Their report citing Donald Trump's leadership as a key factor in their ranking.
A stand must be taken, and if you are a believer in free speech...
This is a crazy, crazy story that is unfolding down in Florida. This college student has been arrested for a joke she made in a private group chat involving Netanyahu. This is a local news report. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
7 News obtaining some bits of that chat. It seemed the student wanted the event rescheduled and wrote, quote, Netanyahu, if you can hear me, drop some bonbons for us Capstone students in Ocean Bank Convention Center. Other students wrote they didn't take that text lightly. She later in the chat wrote, quote, I wrote a dumb joke that should not have been made.
I can understand your position. You're saying this is a joke, but to an objective person, it's not a joke, and there would be enough for probable cause.
You think this is a credible threat? Are you kidding me? I mean, it's just insane. It's clearly a joke. You could think it's not a funny joke or wasn't good in taste. Who cares? Who cares? You really think this girl is like in touch with Netanyahu to bomb this center or whatever? That's insane. She's charged and then this judge doesn't immediately throw this out. Just complete insanity.
This woman is literally charged with threats to kill or do bodily harm with prejudice and has a bond set at $5,000. So, I mean, she's in an orange jumpsuit. Sorry, nuts.
You should pay attention to this.
The BDS movement began in 2005 and was inspired by a similar movement in the 1980s, targeting apartheid in South Africa.
So why do you think it's important for the First Amendment to be able to protect the BDS movement and movements like it?
Because it's important that the First Amendment not discriminate based on what the message of the movement is or what the cause is. It's important that everybody have those protections.
It centers around the BDS movement, which is boycott, divest, and sanction.
Consumer side activism works alongside many other pressure points as long as it is directed, targeted, deliberate, and has a clear-cut goal. The goal of boycotting or divestments or demanding divestments comes along with the ultimate goal of putting sanctions, hopefully, that will cause Israel to come to terms with the cruel and uniquely evil way that they conduct their apartheid regime. Okay? It is about organizing.
Essentially, the boycott speaks for itself. It involves the act of withdrawing support from Israel's apartheid regime.
These companies and brands are priority boycott targets. The BDS movement calls for a complete boycott of their products and services because they're proven to be complicit and because alternatives exist. Recently added are Reebok, which just signed a sponsorship deal with the Israel Football Association, and Xbox, an easily avoided brand which is owned by Microsoft, the most complicit tech company. Then there are the pressure targets. These are also deeply complicit, but harder to boycott completely. That doesn't mean you let them off the hook. Avoid them whenever possible and add pressure in other ways, like protests, mass emails, strategic litigation, and customer shareholder actions.
If you drive a car, and if you're watching this in the US, then I bet you probably do, then no more filling up or buying anything from Chevron, Caltex, or Texaco gas stations. Now remember, these are targeted boycott campaigns meant to apply as much pressure as possible onto specific brands. So you can still fill up anywhere else, but just not from these 3 gas station brands.
For divestment, the site calls for banks, local councils, churches, pension funds, and universities to withdraw investments from the State of Israel and all Israeli and international companies that sustain Israeli apartheid.
Means to take money out of something rather than to put it in. In this case, students want their universities to revoke investments in companies that do business with Israel. This could be in the form of stock in publicly traded companies or in the form of investments in hedge funds or private equity firms, which in turn invest in Israeli-linked entities to generate income. For example, students have named some of the companies they're opposed to. Cisco, the American multinational conglomerate which helps Israel set up government-subsidized tech hubs in illegal Jewish settlements on occupied Palestinian and Syrian territory. Caterpillar, Israel has armoured their D9 bulldozers and routinely uses them to demolish Palestinian homes and roads. And Lockheed Martin.
Lastly, on sanctions, a campaign to pressure governments to fulfill legal obligations to end apartheid and not aid or assist it by banning businesses with illegal Israeli settlements, ending military trade and free trade agreements, as well as suspending Israel's membership in international forums such as UN bodies and FIFA. From a sports perspective,
Mr. President, this is your prize. This is your peace prize. There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
Gianni Infantino, the leader of FIFA, he is not your friend.
Johnny, we got the World Cup, and Johnny's a good man. Do we like Johnny? I think so, right? Like you say, yeah, I think so. He's a good guy, but you know, they're setting records.
And if you recall, he tried this ridiculous stunt.
The FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, has been rebuffed while trying to get leaders from Israel's and Palestine's football associations to shake hands. Last year, Infantino presented Donald Trump with the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize. Palestinian football authorities accuse Israel of killing over 400 footballers since the war in Gaza began.
Via Newsweek, the trend is only growing over the years. Texas, Ohio, our state of Illinois, Indiana, Florida, Arizona, Georgia, Iowa, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arkansas, Minnesota, Nevada, South Carolina, Tennessee. I'm going to take a breath. Alabama, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Kansas, North Carolina, Utah, Missouri, Idaho, West Virginia, Colorado, Mississippi, and New Hampshire all have laws in place. Similar anti-BDS executive orders were signed in the state of New York, Maryland, Wisconsin, Louisiana, Kentucky, and South Dakota. The ACLU had a very clear rebuttal, writing on their website. To be clear, anti-BDS laws are not designed to prevent discrimination. In fact, they're designed to discriminate against disfavored political expression, which is why 2 federal courts and several prominent First Amendment scholars have agreed that these laws violate the First Amendment. Currently, Illinois is ground zero for this fight.
It's not something that we're asking that we wouldn't ask for others. It is an imperative moment right now in our history to demonstrate that a House and a Senate that hold super majorities of the Democratic Party can accomplish this goal. My brother Abdel Rashid, it is time right now that we are heard and that we show the future generations just who the state of Illinois is.
Let democracy work. Let our voices be heard. Don't bury it in dead-end committees. Don't park it in assignments or rules. Let it get a hearing, let it get a vote, and let every General Assembly member be on record on how they vote on this issue.
Quick timeout. That is Shariam Ali of the Justice Coalition. She would speak with media on site.
As a Palestinian American, I feel like most of my life I've been invisible. What this bill means is that it gives us recognition. It takes away the dehumanization where people don't acknowledge our suffering and our pain. The way that Israel has been able to get away with what it's been getting away with is because it's been shielded. It's been shielded by our media. It's been shielded by our government. It's been shielded by state legislators. And what this is saying is that Palestinians deserve human rights. And what it does, I believe it is the first step to holding a nation accountable that's never been held accountable. When I see the people here, it just shows us that people care about Palestine and that they know what's happening is wrong. And it just gives me hope as a Palestinian.
It is an aim, very clearly, as laid out by local lawmakers, to right a wrong.
For anyone who's not familiar with what Illinois did 11 years ago, we were the first state in the country to punish companies for boycotting Israel.
Let's pause here. This is State Rep Abdul Nasser Rashid, a Palestinian American, who is carrying the bill. To give you an idea of those numbers, when Rauner, former Governor Rauner, signed that bill, in 2015, that vote was 102-0 in the House, 49 love in the Senate. Thus, Rauner, a Republican, happily signed the bill into law. The Times of Israel had a glowing write-up at the time. This now serves essentially as a model for other states to follow.
In Illinois, our pension funds are required to divest from companies if those companies like Ben & Jerry's decide to boycott Israel. It's outrageous. My bill repeals that law. And my bill repeals that law and restores the normal state of affairs that says a company can choose to boycott Israel if they want. We don't go further to say, oh, they must boycott Israel, but it allows them to.
Here's the main reason why many activists and members of the media in the state of Illinois flock to Springfield. HB 2723, or the Illinois Human Rights Advocacy Protection Act, would repeal the state's anti-BDS law and potentially serve as a model for legislatures around the country. The effort currently has 22 co-sponsors in Illinois House, 12 in the state Senate. That includes State Rep Nabila Sayed, who spoke to the media on the matter.
And let me say this plainly. When the state of Illinois defends a law that singles out one form of peaceful protest, speaking up for Palestinian human rights, and punishes it, that says that our state is sending a message. It is saying that political speech is dangerous, that we belong outside of the circle of who this state decides to protect. It gives cover to every single politician calling us un-American, simply for advocating for human rights. No one in Illinois should have to choose between standing up for human rights and harming their pension and their job and their visa. I feel furious. I feel so angry that 10 years later, we are still here asking for the bare minimum, because let's be clear, this is the bare minimum.
For Rep Rashid, it is a no-brainer. This law uses the retirement security of teachers, university workers, state employees, and judges to punish peaceful protest, he would say. It coerces American companies, including companies in the state of Illinois, into changing their lawful behavior to satisfy a foreign government. And it does all of this with no fiduciary duty, no published rules, no formal appeal, and no audit. Currently, the sponsors of this bill are growing.
I want to begin by recognizing the advocates, community members, and colleagues who built momentum for this bill, and to thank the chairs of the Black, Latino, Asian, and Progressive caucuses, the Deputy Majority Leader, and the dozens of lawmakers across both chambers who have already signed on. This support reflects a broad understanding in the General Assembly that Illinois is on the wrong side of a problem we created and that we have an obligation to fix.
Former Illinois congressional candidate Kat Abu-Ghazaleh, a former journalist as well, would speak on the bill.
I know this is kind of a controversial position to take, but I do believe in civil liberties. I believe in equal protection under the law. And I believe that in a free democracy, the government doesn't get to suppress political beliefs with a blacklist. A blacklist which exists to facilitate a genocide by shielding Israel from any economic accountability. But there is good news. In Illinois here, State Representative Abdul Nasser Rashid has been leading the fight to repeal this law. It's been kind of messy and fast moving, so at the time that I'm recording this, I'm going to encourage you to go to ilchr.org/slips. This takes less than a minute, and any Illinois resident can do it. You're basically just putting your name down to say that you support repealing anti-BDS legislation. But also at the time of recording this, it seems that AIPAC is trying to do everything they possibly can to keep this from actually getting to the floor for a vote. They realize that the people who oppose anti-BDS legislation actually outnumber the people who support it. Weird how that works.
The question does remain, though, with a lot of these things. We hear a lot of chatter, we see some media attention, but what is the net favorability amongst the electorate? Well, Rebecca Levin of Jewish Voice for Peace has been organizing efforts to repeal the bill for years. She would say, and I quote, "When we first started doing this work in the legislature, our job was to educate people who voted for it. Over the past 2 years with the genocide in Gaza, the war in Iran, and gas prices going up so high, legislators finally saw this as something they could take action on. If you would like to write your reps, get involved, and even learn more, we will leave a link in the description box below. It is something that I think everyone should check out."